June 26th to order at 3 p.m. Ask for a motion from Councillor Jones that Council adopt the agenda for this regular council meeting, June 26th, as presented.
I'll give you that motion, Mayor Snodgrass.
Thank you. All in favor? Carried. Consent agenda. I'll ask for a motion from Councillor Walsh that an omnibus motion adopts the following in accordance with Council's procedure bylaw, June 12th regular meeting minutes, and the strategic priorities chart.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll give you that motion.
Thank you very much. All in favor? Carried. Go. Any public comments regarding items on the agenda before we get started? None? Thank you. Delegation from the Ramada. Wendy? Come on up front, Wendy. And Cody and Shelley are here too. Are you part of this? Are you coming up or? Cody's nope. All right. Gotta be up. I'll just turn the, actually, which mic do I want so that we can?
Okay, sorry.
Inquiry, and then if you want to just roll over this way a little bit, so that they can kind of see you around the monitor.
Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor and respective council. It's my first time, so sorry. My name is Wendy Bergen from the Ramada High River, 1512 13th Avenue Southeast in High River. I'm here today to set up communication and preparedness in case of emergency or evacuation in our town. I have a copy of our whole town evacuation plan attached with my business card and personal number in case such things arise. Recently, our Drayton Valley property had a fire 100 feet from it till the wind changed course, in which we realized we really needed to set up something for our town. Luckily for us, he was also on the town council, so he's able to get a hold of the fire chief, and all proper communications were set to keep the town and the people in the hotel safe. We'd also like to set this up with our community here, as of course we had the flood back in 2013, and if we do have fires come close or floods, we'd like to be the people that you guys can count on to have quick accommodations for people who need to help others, or for people in other towns to come to us as well. If you have any other plan that you would like to involve us in, we'd be happy to share with our team so that there's never a hesitation in what we need to do. So I do have copies of anyone who needs them with our proper evacuation. I don't know who I have to hand these to. And then on the back of each card is my personal number, just in case you guys need to get a hold of me personally if I'm not at the hotel. And with that, also because we're very much about community, thank you. We would like to have a list of sponsorships or things that are near and dear to our community that we may be able to help with sponsorship-wise and or volunteering. We're Canalta, so Canalta owns 41 hotels across the board here, and our Ramada is one. And we've done things with our monies and volunteerings with the community in the past, which helped Rotary House, FAMES, and in the Immigration Society, to name a few. So if there's anything that we can help the community in as well, we'd like to be a part of that. And that's all I have, sorry.
Thanks, Wendy. Any questions from council? Councillor Kinghorn?
Just a comment. Thanks for coming, Wendy. We appreciate you being here. I got to tell you, those ground floor rooms are amazing. I love the fireplace one, but
Oh, you had the suite.
that's the nice
Well,
room.
then when you come in, just ask for me personally. We'll give you a nice cut in a good
Sweet.
room.
Thank you.
You own 2 houses in High River. What are you doing booking rooms at the?
You don't want to know. You said
I
that.
don't. I got halfway through saying that and I'm like, bad move. Thanks very much, Wendy,
Thank you.
for the information. High Country Drive, Highview Gate intersection. Jack? I think the microphone's still on there for you, Jack, so you can just go right ahead.
Thanks for taking me. Mr. Mayor, I'd like to give council a different perspective of this intersection based on my experience, because I think the way it's been looked at is one-sided. So, I'm a retired Calgary police officer. In the last 5 years that I worked as what they call the community relations liaison. In that position, it was my job to deal with community concerns, traffic, public nuisances, neighbor disputes, chronic parking problems, and numerous others. I dealt with numerous traffic and intersection issues that were related to pedestrian safety. With this experience, I think I've got a pretty good understanding of what's going on here. First of all, we need to set the record straight. Golf carts are not pedestrians. Under the Alberta Safety Act, a pedestrian is defined as a disabled person, a person walking, a person on a scooter, a wheelchair, a bike. Golf carts are not listed as defined under a pedestrian. I've got the presumption that the complaint has come from the golf course or a golfer. Before anything's done and tax dollars spent, what kind of research was done to even justify the hiring of an engineering consultant? Was there a vehicle count done? Was there a pedestrian count done separating golfers to regular pedestrians? And was a speed analysis done to justify what's happening? The consultants have stated that what they can do to change things, but they never give a reason why. And that's because they never looked at the real problem. I've driven this road daily for the last 10 years, sometimes twice a day, and have witnessed golf carts shooting out from the pathway, forcing drivers to brake hard, golfers walking and riding, pushing their way onto the road to force traffic to stop. I've also been given the finger numerous times and the proverbial fist. Again, golf carts are not pedestrians. As a point of interest, golf carts at the Golden Golf Course in British Columbia are all licensed and insured through the Motor Vehicles Division at a really high cost because they cross one road. Should that happen here? I'd hate to see that. Signs posted on the inside of each of those gates that enter onto High Country Drive state, quote, "All golfers must yield to traffic," unquote. Obviously, this rule made by the golf course, the management, is not adhered to. Now, to be fair, not all golfers do this. A lot of traffic just stop for them anyways, whether they're on the crosswalk or not. Regarding the plan that there'd be 24 or 25 signs required is absolutely ridiculous. There's 8 signs now. 3 of them are stop signs, which are traffic control devices. 3 are pedestrian signs, and there's 2 other information signs. The more signs you place in a concentrated area such as this, just raises the confusion. As for pedestrian overhead lights that was mentioned, waste of time, waste of taxpayers' dollars. I've pursued the operations department 3 or 4 times in the last 10 years to change the lights on Center Street at the old 4th Avenue North, where you used to go into Wallaceville. It's a traffic light. People come, they press a button, the light automatically turns to yellow and then red. Pedestrian crosses, and they're another 100 feet down the pathway before the light turns green. People run the red light. After the pedestrians are crossed, people go through the red light. And I've been behind people who see a pedestrian come up and they slam the brakes on at the green light. That should be changed. The infrastructure's there. 2 crosswalks were mentioned, one for golfers and one for others. Since when should taxpayers pay for 2 crosswalks? Really? That's absurd. If anything, move the crosswalk to the corner where it should be, and have the golf course reconfigure the pathways over to the corner. Take out the bushes that obstruct some of the view. There'll be fewer obstructions. The mailbox that's not far from that crosswalk right now is obstructed when the delivery person raises the back of the van and drivers can't see it. And why is it that the golfers need to get to that next tee box within 10 seconds at risk of their own injury? They don't. I'm a golfer. You don't have to. As for the concern about the school buses not able to see, these drivers are highly trained and drive 50-plus intersections on a daily basis, and I'm sure we're not going to change every other intersection just for the bus drivers. A four-way stop controls the equal flow of traffic. That's what they're designed for, not for pedestrians. So why then did, when the engineering firm did not recommend a four-way stop, why did council ask administration to put a four-way stop in? You paid a lot of money for the engineering firm. It's not being looked at for the safety, but for the golfers who don't obey the rules. Again, the town is succumbing to the wishes of the golf course. It's clear. There's nothing wrong with the intersection. If pedestrians, the golf carts, and anybody else would just obey the rules. The four-way stop will now inconvenience hundreds of drivers. Everybody who lives in the Northwest. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 52 weeks a year for 12 months. Just to give the convenience of golfers 8 hours a day for 6 months. That's not right. Thousands of taxpayers' dollars don't need to be spent. We taught our kids when they were little how to cross the street. Stop at the sidewalk, look both ways, make sure people are stopped, and then cross. Maybe we need to teach the golfers and golf carts how to do the same thing, because that's the problem. I don't know what the town paid for the engineering consultants to reveal nothing, basically. But my professional advice, and I look at it that because I did it for a lot of years, is free. The only change that needs to be made to this intersection is the attitude of the golfers crossing it. That's it, plain and simple. So I ask council to rescind the idea of putting a four-way stop in at the expense and the inconvenience of taxpayers. Thank you.
Thanks, Jack. I'll address a couple of things you said, and then I got a couple with your experience. I got a few questions too. So the golf course has been asking the town to deal with this since, when was that built? 89? Now, the problem is it should have been dealt with directly when that whole development was developed. It should have been done properly then. There's so many problems with High Country Drive, and the number one issue is speed on the whole thing. The whole thing. So when you're asking about why did council choose the four-way over the traffic engineer saying only a two-way, when I asked why not a four-way, they said, well, people don't stop at stop signs. They'll roll through them, so we don't recommend them. My response is you got a lot of work to do in High River to start tearing out stop signs that supposedly don't work. I don't see that. If we're looking at starting to control the speeds, even if it is a rolling stop, it's slower than what they're doing right now. And if a four-way stop, I would say 90% of the time that people are stopping, especially on a busy road like that. So that's why, if you want to know why. I didn't agree with the rationalization of just saying people don't stop at stop signs, so don't put them in.
Can I make a comment in regards to your reply?
Sure.
I've never driven on that road where I've followed anybody more than 50 kilometers an hour. And again, if you're going to put that in, maybe a speed analysis should be done. The stop sign will create.
I think there was one done there. So
the stop sign will create more issues of just rolling stops. It'll create backlogs in the morning of 7, 8 vehicles. It'll create in the wintertime, it'll create.
They're not, but Jack, there's a four-way stop 300 yards
Exactly.
down the road. They're not backed up 7, 8 vehicles.
Yes, they are. Every morning they're backed up when school buses run because my wife drives it every morning.
Okay, but 7, 8 vehicles
Yes.
backed up at a four-way stop is no impact to getting on with your day.
Yes, well, it's
Well,
not
no,
big
it's
deal.
not.
But the other
So
issue.
I'm not
it
gonna get
creates-
into, I'm not gonna get into an argument
Okay.
with you, Jack. We can do that somewhere else if we want to, but, you're saying the number one issue is changing the attitudes of golfers. Do you have any recommendation as to how that can be done?
Well, I think
'Cause that would
you're not
be
going to change, you're not going to
wicked.
have a school crossing guard standing there watching the golfers. Because a golfer will cross there every 9 to 12 minutes, back and forth. But maybe in their general meetings, they can start emphasizing. I've been to the golf course numerous times in the last 10 years complaining to the pro about the golfers, the carts that don't stop crossing High Country Drive. They need to do more maybe in their general meeting to emphasize you've got to stop. They've put the signs up that they must yield to traffic. 2 signs on each side of each pathway.
But here's
And they don't do it.
Here's my thing, Jack. I used to be president of the golf club.
Yep.
And attending an AGM with however many members, and you get 9 that show up to an AGM, you're not gonna change the attitudes of the golfers. Plus, there's also golfers that aren't even members. The problem is the design of the intersection. We have to deal with what the current design is. To think we're just gonna go there and tell the golfers to obey the rules, like I'd love to be able to do that and about 1,000 other aspects around here, to just tell people what to do with so many different things, but you can't. Everybody's their individual, they make their own decisions. You just can't. So we're left with trying to make this intersection as safe as we possibly can with the current design. We cannot build a bridge over, we cannot tunnel under.
understand that. That'd be
Right? So
ridiculous.
that's the thing. Like, I understand what you're saying and I agree. I just, we've got to try to do something, because there have been near misses and everything. You're getting the finger, you're getting the fist. We have to do something. This is the first step, and we can adjust it from there. None of the bump outs or anything are permanently going in right off the bat. We're gonna try it out, and if things are not working, we try something different.
Okay? That's
all.
It's going in one way or the other. Is that-
Yes.
That's the idea.
Yes, that's correct.
So
We are doing
the
something.
inconvenience of everybody else for golfers who don't obey the rules.
What's the inconvenience though, Jack?
Stopping. Having to stop 24 hours a day when there's nothing there. There's not going to be anybody there at midnight. That's why I say there's been no
there's-
traffic count down. There's been no speed analysis done
I
to
don't know that
justify a
that's true.
four-way stop. A four-way stop is designed to control traffic flow, equal traffic flow. Not
Okay.
to stop to make sure golfers crossing wherever the intersection is are safe. That's not the idea of a four-way stop.
One more intersection that makes you stop is not gonna change anybody's life or day. It's not going to. Jack, look at,
Sorry.
how many stop signs are in High River that you have to deal with every single day? Like, what other ones do we just get rid of so that you can get on with your day? That's not, like, I don't get that. We are dealing with a safety aspect here that's been brought to our attention by the golf course, and yes, we've made the decision.
We're dealing with a
that we are
safety
dealing with
aspect
this.
created by golfers.
Correct.
Okay.
The design, and yes, the attitudes, but it doesn't matter what the
design
attitude is,
The
it's
design,
still
Mr. Mayor, is no
unsafe.
different than any other intersection.
Pardon me?
The design of that intersection is no different than any other intersection.
Well, it is, because there's a separate one for pedestrians, and then there's.
No, there
the
isn't.
straight
There's one
across
crosswalk there, and it's about 15 feet from the
one.
corner.
The new one has.
Not two, there's not two there's one crosswalk on that side.
Right.
And it's about 15 feet from the corner. Move that to the corner, not two crosswalks, move that to the corner.
But guess what the golfers are gonna do? Straight shot.
Well, then they get run over, I guess, because not everybody's gonna stop for them.
Now we're there. Okay, thanks very much. I appreciate your comments, Jack. Anybody, anything else from council? Kelly? I can't see my,
I guess it doesn't matter what I was gonna say. There has been a traffic assessment, to my knowledge, and a count of vehicles that go by that intersection every day. I believe, in a 72-hour window, if my memory's correct and the numbers are right, and someone else can maybe verify that for me, there was something like 7,800 cars, or was it 9,000 cars, in a 72-hour time window that go by that intersection every single, in that time period. So from my perspective, as someone who frequents that crosswalk daily, I have witnessed firsthand children almost being run over. I've had to push a child out of the way. So to say that we're appeasing golfers, we are not. We are looking after children who use that space as a bus stop twice a day. We are looking after pedestrians, seniors, people out walking their dogs who use that intersection every day. And it is a blind corner. If you're coming from the north and you're trying to turn east, you cannot see if you're at the stop sign. You have to inch your way out into that intersection to be able to make the turn. So I'm sorry, I guess I'm a little bit more fired up about this than I thought I would be, but to say that it's just to appease golfers, absolutely not. It is for the safety of our constituents, it's for the safety of our community, and that intersection, I think by opening that passway up, opening High Country Drive up all the way to Center, increase the volume of traffic. There's a simple solution for people who don't want to use that four-way stop once it becomes that, and that is to use Cole Trail to access other parts of the Northwest where you don't have to stop. But as far as I'm concerned, I think if we don't try something and someone is egregiously injured or killed through the negligence of not taking care of the safety of our citizens, that would weigh heavier on my conscience than asking people to touch the brakes twice a day coming and going through that intersection. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Very well stated. Thanks, Kelly. We'll move on. Business annual financial statements. Year-end report. David?
Thank you, Mayor and Council.
There you go.
Thank you. You have before you a request for decision, annual financial statements and auditors report year ended December 31st, 2022. And BDO Canada LLP, our auditors, independent auditors, will offer some comments as well. Consistent within the request for decision, within the background area, the provision of the independent auditors report and the audited financial statements is an annual standard operating procedure of the town as provided for under the MGA. It is administration's ongoing objective to receive an unqualified audit opinion on its annual audited financial statements and to resolve any and all outstanding audit recommendations as time and resources permit. When you review the financials, and as noted within the Committee of the Whole from this afternoon, the Town of High River is financially stable in the short term given its surplus for 2022. The Town of High River is financially sustainable in the long term in that we took that surplus and improved our accumulated surplus positions. We have moved the qualified opinion from 2021 to 2022, and BDO will talk to that. All previous recommendations were resolved, and we have new recommendations to help us improve as we prepare to move forward or continue to move forward into 2023. Our philosophy is that in order to move forward, we must go back to resolve the past. And that is why we took some extra time to focus on 2021 recommendations. At the end, I do want to thank BDO for their expertise and their patience as we work through a number of these recommendations from 2021. And on that note, I would like to welcome Will Zobel, our audit partner from BDO, and Mina Church, our audit manager from BDO, who will provide you with the independent auditor's report. So go ahead, Will and Mina, welcome.
They can't hear us
Can we hear them, Kent? I'll let him leave and come back in.
This worked the other day when you connected a few meetings ago, David. Now it's not working. I apologize for this. I might have to call them here.
When we did have you join the meeting, that was via Teams, right?
I don't recall.
I thought it was.
Was it?
That's why we set it up.
It could be.
Because we thought the Zoom was just for the live stream.
Yeah.
And then Teams.
It might have been Teams where I was, yeah. Can we do that? It's okay.
There's no microphone on this unit here, though. I know it looks like it appears it's off. It doesn't exist, though. It's connected to the, to this, to these, this right here, which is the Pearl streamer. And unfortunately, it's not working. We might have to get them to call into my cell phone. Would that be acceptable? Hi, guys. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
We'll get you to speak up, and we're going to put you near our presentation microphone so you and David can speak at the same time.
Okay, sounds good.
All right. Can council hear that?
Yep. Am I speaking loud enough?
Yeah, good afternoon, Will. Good afternoon, Mina. Welcome, welcome to council. And go ahead with your audit report, if you may.
Okay, I'm just going to try and get Mina in real quick, just so she can hear too.
Hey.
Hey, so I'm on speakerphone, so I just thought I'd bring you in.
Oh, perfect.
Okay, so my name is Will Zobel. I'm the partner with BDO, and I've got Mina Church that hopefully can hear. I guess technology is wreaking havoc on us today. So what I'll do is I'll just go over the audit report, and we'll stick around for the financial statement presentation and approval of financial statements. So we'll be available to help with any questions as we go through it. So as you're aware, the last year's audit opinion was qualified because we had a scope limitation on a liability that we didn't know if it would be material or not. During the year, management was able to get additional information and get the information we needed so that we can take that qualification off. So I'm happy to say we have an unqualified opinion. So in our opinion, the accompanying financial statements present fairly in all material respects the financial position of the town as at December 31st, 2022, and the results of its operations, change in its net assets, and its cash flows for the year then ended in accordance with Canadian public sector accounting standards. So again, that is a clean audit opinion. Any questions on the audit report?
Questions from council? See none, hear none? Go ahead.
Had no questions, Will? Please proceed.
Okay, perfect. So we can turn the time over to Melissa, I believe is going to do Michelle is going to do the presentation of financial statements.
No, the presentation, the results were discussed in a committee of the whole this afternoon, Will. And so council is aware of the financial statements in total. The financials have been distributed to council last week.
Okay, perfect. So I think then, can the financial statements be approved now, or did you need more from me?
No, I think council can proceed with the recommendations that's within the request for decision. So back to you, Mayor.
Perfect. Thanks, David. Yeah, I don't think we need anything more from the auditors. Do we?
They'll want to hear the...
Oh, they're just going to listen in? Okay, sure. Any questions for David from council? See none, hear none. I'll ask for a motion from Councillor Smith that council receive the independent auditor's report from BDO Canada LLP and adopt the audited financial statements of the town of High River for year ended December 31st, 2022 as presented, and the council direct administration review the restricted surplus reserve fund policy POL 1610900 and return to council by the fall of 2023 with recommendations regarding any proposed amendments, and further that council authorize the mayor and CAO to sign any required documentation to confirm council approvals.
I will give you that motion, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. All in favor? Carried. Thanks, David.
Okay, thank you, Will. Do you
Thank
require
you.
anything else?
No, once we get the signed information, we will issue the signed financial statements.
Very good.
We'd like to hear from Michelle.
Very well. You'll have that within next few hours.
Okay, excellent.
All right,
Thank you very much.
Okay, bye-bye.
Well done. Thanks, Kent, making it happen. High River Flyers request for change in sponsorship policy. Nancy?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The High River Flyers appeared as a delegation at the June 12th regular council meeting to request a change in policy 0610200 relative to sponsorship in town facilities. The policy section 4.3.d.8 states as follows: to not solicit or accept sponsorship or advertising from companies whose reputation could prove detrimental to the town's public image or whose main business is derived from the sale of tobacco, alcohol, pornography, or the support or involvement in the production, distribution, and sale of weapons and other life-threatening products. Additionally, the AGLC, which is delegated authority under the Gaming, Liquor, and Cannabis Act, issues the Liquor Agency Handbook, which provides policy and guidelines on advertising. Through consultation with our legal counsel to clarify the policy and guidelines from the handbook, it has been identified that any advertisements for alcohol, cannabis, gambling, or other controlled substances or activities cannot be present in a facility during use by minors. Legal counsel has indicated that the Flyers would likely be classified as a minor hockey team governed by Hockey Canada and Hockey Alberta, and liquor advertising, even temporary in nature, advertising may be challenging to get approvals for since the team includes minors. Although the flyer stated that the league and the AGLC support this sponsorship, the way the handbook is written, it appears that the sponsorship of a junior team may not be allowed under AGLC requirements. The team and league have players that are under 18 years old. Additionally, when not in use by the Flyers, the space in which the advertisement would be displayed is primarily youth-oriented. In the 22-23 season, the High River Flyers appointed a new club president. The president was responsible for selling sponsorship opportunities outside of the agreement. When realized, the Flyers indicated that the elimination of those opportunities would be catastrophic to their operations, and a one-time exemption was granted by the town. This included in-ice sponsorships and boards not included in their sponsorship agreement with the town. With the recent review from legal counsel, one board displaying advertisement for a business derived from the sale of alcohol will need to be removed. As administration assumes the curling space from a previous lease, the same policy and guidelines will apply. Administration recommends that council deny the request from the Flyers to amend policy 0610200. I'd be happy to take any questions.
Thanks, Nancy. Councillor Jones?
Thanks, Nancy, for that update. Actually, like in the arena, there are 3 signs. So there's 2 High River Brewing Company signs on the boards, and there's 1 sign that is up all the time that says beer for sale, $6.
That is correct. That is considered one sponsorship, since
Oh.
it was the same agreement, yes.
Councillor Kinghorn?
Thanks, Mayor Snodgrass. So to be clear, so that means all 3 signs would have to come down, because I thought I heard you say 1 sign.
Correct. The one sign is attached to their bar, so would probably need to be covered. They would have that beer $6 sign up during their alcohol sales during a game. So we would look to cover that one.
Gotcha.
And the sponsorship for the High River Brewery would need to be removed.
So the 2
completely.
signs on the
Correct.
boards. Awesome, thank you.
So Nancy, I can support denying this request from the Flyers based on how the policy is written, and I believe in it, that it's the right thing. But I would also like you to come back to council at some time with a full review of how advertising is handled in that building. Because it seems to be a mishmash as to who's at the desk that day, as to who the money gets to go to, whether it's, and all those billboards are up on the rink. None of that money should be going fully to only one group, in my mind. I think it needs to be divided up, or it stays within the town of High River and we put it back into the facility upgrades or anything, equipment, whatever needed. But the way it is right now with its, just, I don't think there's, and the way the policy's written, I don't think there's any consistency to it that can be derived from that with. Is that fair?
I would agree with you, Mr. Mayor. We have started to review the policy and determine the path forward so that we can make it more equitable for user groups.
Okay. Councillor Kinghorn?
Just one comment to that. If I recall, this is going back when I was back on the rec board, individuals went out, solicited advertising, would search out these businesses, convince them to put a banner or a sign or whatever up on the wall. And as a result of that, they felt that they were entitled to get whatever revenue came in. So that was a little bit of a hiccup around it that you might have to deal with.
Gotcha.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Councillor Jones?
Thank you. Not only the signs, but now with the name change, what is that going to mean with that policy as well? Because they're going to be wanting to advertise who they are, and it does say High River Brewing Company.
You are correct. That is included in their name of their club now. So our interpretation is that any signage that they post would need to say the High River Flyers only. So if they are posting for their in-ice logo, it would read the High River Flyers.
See, this is where we get messy. Okay. Counselor Walsh?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My concern is they've worked into a relationship already, the hockey team and the sponsor. Are they aware of the fact that this isn't going to fly? No pun intended. That was good. I know, hey? Anyways, it does get messy, and this is,
We have provided them with the policy on multiple occasions and with the AGLC handbook. We have not informed them officially of what their request was yet until after we came to council for direction.
the information you've shared with the hockey team, or as well you've shared with the sponsor?
We've shared with the team.
I see.
Our sponsorship agreement is with them. So we don't deal with any of their sponsors.
I see. Thank you.
I think we gotta be careful on us saying what a hockey team can name themselves. I think us dealing with advertising that goes in on our building is.
Recommendation from our legal counsel is that we put the onus on the flyers to demonstrate the ability from AGLC to be sponsored by that organization. So we would go back to them and ask them to provide us a letter from AGLC that permits that sponsorship would be the next step.
Okay.
Well, I was just gonna say, it sounds like they sort of put the cart before the horse. They went and did something and asked for permission after. So I agree, I like that they have to go and get that permission, because I'm the same as you. There are minor hockey and there's minors on there being represented by a brewing company. I'm not sure I agree with, but again, if it's legit, then we can deal with that. But I do feel that they've done this sort of backwards.
Okay, I'm gonna amend the motion that's in here. I'm gonna add a couple of things to it, so. I'll ask for this motion from Councillor Jones, that council deny the request for the High River Flyers to deviate from policy POL 0610200 and request that staff come back to council with a full review of this policy and the advertising policies at Bob Snodgrass Recreational Complex. Then we can get a better look at what the AGLC, I want the full thing rather than just dealing with this right now. And this advertising we need to get, regardless of what happened in the past, I think it needs to be made fair.
Should they be two different motions?
It can be. You wanna split them?
I think so.
Okay. So let's, Councillor Jones with the motion, council deny the request for the High River Flyers to deviate from POL 0610200.
I give you that motion, Mayor Snodgrass.
Thank you. All in favor? Councillor Barton?
I just wanted to make maybe a recommendation to that motion, just not just the arena, because we probably have other facilities that potentially in the future could have, you know, ball diamonds or anything
That's
like
fair.
that, right?
Yeah. So I'll ask for a motion from Councillor Barton that council request that staff come back to council with a full review of policy POL 0610200. And do we have an advertising policy? Yes?
We do.
Okay. And a review of the advertising policy at all town-owned facilities.
Yeah, my motion, Mayor.
Thank you. All in favor? Carried. BSRC roof replacement, Nancy.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Oh, curling club. Go ahead, Nancy.
Thank you. As the
Thank you.
Highwood Curling Club lease at the BSRC expired, administration has worked with the club to transition from a lease to a user agreement. Transitioning the club to a user agreement provides the town an opportunity to maximize utilization of the space. In order for the town to operate the space as a curling facility, funding is required to purchase equipment, train staff, and ensure that the space meets the town's health and safety requirements. Administration is seeking $77,875 to purchase assets currently owned by the curling club. Purchasing the assets from the club not only ensures that the town has the necessary equipment, but also assists with the economic stability of the club. Once the purchase of assets is completed, administration will commence with staff training and building modifications to ensure that the space is operated effectively and safely. Administration intends to work directly with the current ice maintenance contractor to ensure no gaps in service. Any training and modification costs will be realized through the 2023 approved operational budget. Administration is only seeking approval to purchase club assets as per the asset list provided to council. Be happy to take any questions.
Councillor Kinghorn?
Thank you, Mayor Snodgrass. The only thing I saw on here that I didn't see is where is this to be funded from? Is it existing part of your budget, or is this an amendment, or where are we to get this $77,000?
We are requesting from unrestricted surplus.
Should that be added to the,
Funds to come from where? Okay.
thank you.
Councillor Smith?
Thank you, Mayor. Just curious, when it says that administration will promote curling programming, so does that mean that the curling club will still be in charge of overseeing their leagues and that sort of thing? Or what does that mean for the relationship going forward?
Yes, so the curling club will operate as a user group, so they'll oversee their leagues, and we'll work with them to take over the ice maintenance piece that they were currently doing. We'll take over cleaning the lounge, cleaning the dressing rooms, those types of things. They'll continue to operate as a user group. The programs that we're adding in will be learn to curl programs that we will run ourselves. So we'll be working with them collaboratively to make sure no double bookings on the space, those types of things.
Okay, thank you.
I'll ask for a motion from Councillor Smith. The council approve the funding of $77,875 to purchase assets from the Highwood Curling Club, with the funds to come from unrestricted surplus.
I'll give you that motion, Mr. Mayor.
Yep. All in favor? Carried. Now we'll deal with the roof.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Administration issued a request for proposal for the roof replacement project that closed on May 30th, 2023, and resulted in 8 competitive responses. Administration had originally planned to continue to replace the BSRC roof in sections to spread the financial impact over multiple years. The 2023 approved capital budget for roof replacement is $1,009,300, and it did not include the lobby area. With the number of upcoming construction projects at the BSRC, the option to complete the project in its entirety would be beneficial to budget and timelines of concurrent projects. Roofing costs have risen consistently over the last 24 months and are expected to continue in that direction. Although originally scheduled for later, the lobby roof currently leaks significantly. It would be advantageous to complete this section prior to the renovations being contemplated with the aquatics expansion. This would require council to allow the additional scope of work and approve an increase of $850,000 budget amendment to complete the work. The amount of $1,009,300 will be paid from the 2023 approved capital budget, and if approved, the additional request of $850,000 will be allocated from the Municipal Sustainability Initiative to deliver the project. Council could choose to award the original scope of the project, not including the lobby, which would reduce the request for additional funding from $850,000 to $345,000. The risks associated with postponing the lobby portion of the roof include potential increased costs at a later date, impact to concurrent projects such as the aquatics expansion and large arena, loss of economies of scale, and water damage to the newly renovated space from a leaky roof. Administration recommends that council increase the BSRC roof replacement capital budget by $850,000 and award replacement contract to Canterbury Roofing.
Questions from council? Councillor Schmidt?
No.
I was having fun watching you.
What happens when you both push the button at the same time? I'm just curious, how far away are we from I guess we're still at concept for the expansion, is that,
We have completed schematic design, and our intention is to come to the July 10th Committee of the Whole meeting to review where we are at and review budget on the aquatics expansion.
and how much of that new space is the I haven't seen it yet, so the lobby piece, that's a significant increase to the roofing costs. So I'm just curious as to, is there a better way to align our resources here by way of, I appreciate if it's leaking and we have to do something about it. But if we're gonna fix it and then tear it apart in a year or 18 months' time, I'm curious to know how that's going to play out.
The roof line of the lobby will not be touched as part of the aquatics expansion.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Councillor Kinghorn?
Thank you, Mayor Snodgrass. My question is more to Mr. Prosser around the MSI funding. I haven't heard much about MSI in the last number of months. I know we were wondering what was going to be happening with the election. Are we comfortable that this money's coming, and are we in good shape that way?
Yes, thank you, Mayor Snodgrass, through the Councillor Kinghorn. This is money that we already have secured through MSI and is sitting in our reserve accounts. We have, I think, at the end of 2022, just shy of about $7.5 million sitting in that MSI fund. And we'll have another contribution this year of about $1.5 million coming forward or more for MSI. In 2024, MSI does change to the local government fiscal framework, which will see increased funding moving forward on, I think, a 10-year term agreement with the province. So we're quite confident that we'll continue having this funding.
Excellent, thank you.
Mayor Snodgrass, could I also just interject?
Almost said it. You were so close.
I-
You were so close that you
Very-
said your.
Very close. Just one correction. We're trying to get a meeting on July 4th with all of council to go through schematic design and the recent cost estimate. And so we will be sending out a survey monkey poll to find out a secure time that's appropriate so we can bring the consultant out and go through those kind of costs as well.
I'll ask for a motion from Councillor Kinghorn that council add the Bob Snodgrass Recreation Complex BSRC lobby roof to the scope of the project, and the council increase the BSRC roof replacement budget by $850,000 to be funded from the unrestricted accumulated surplus to cover engineering, project management, and contingency. The council approve award to Canterbury Roofing for the amount of $1,556,362.50. And the council authorize the CAO to execute the contract with Canterbury Roofing.
Thank you, Mayor Snodgrass. I'll give you that motion, even the 50 cents.
Fit it in there. All in favor? Carried.
Thank you, Mayor and Council.
Okay, just wait before you leave, because if I don't get an answer to this question, my son's gonna be really mad. Regarding leaking roof, in the field house, when you come in the doors, there's buckets of brown stuff. What is it? Because he's mad that I never have an answer from you yet. He said, have you talked to Nancy yet? So I'll do it in a public meeting and make him watch YouTube.
We are in the process of correcting that. That was a design flaw from the last roof replacement project that we are working to correct.
What is it?
It's a mix. It's really condensation that's coming down.
Okay.
Is essentially what it is.
Okay. Good. It's stuff. Okay, thanks, Nancy.
Thank you.
That will not satisfy him, so he's gonna come to your office now. I'm done dealing with it. Hampton's landfill pathway upgrades. Kaylee?
Good afternoon, Mayor Snodgrass and Council. Before you this afternoon, I have a report with regards to the Hamptons Landfill Pathway Upgrade Project, which was approved with a budget of $150,000 for the 2023 capital projects. Two proposals came in when our request for proposal closed on this project. The scope that we had released for the proposal was the original scope, which would take the pathway from the parking lot up and around the park and back to the parking lot. We were going to upgrade it to an asphalt pathway, bringing it up to a standard width of 2.5 because it was originally only 1.5 in width. So making it wider, accessible, a smooth surface, rebuilding the structure. That came within budget, which we were happy to see. What we also added into the RFP was a deletable item, which would be the additional item we're looking at today. With the Hamptons Bypass project, there was a consideration of building the regional pathway along 2 Avenue. And we can clearly see that from 2 Avenue into the Hamptons landfill park to the pathway, there's actually a path very well walked on by the public. And so we had added that in as a deletable item to take for consideration, depending on what kind of pricing came back and what consideration we had on the project. Administration reviewed, we do feel that it is reasonable in price getting that additional piece in there. It also brings that park to an accessible standard. It's providing them a walkability to the park so that they're not having to walk over to the gravel road, through the gravel parking lot and onto the pathway. This provides them a little bit more of an accessible route, a little bit more of a direct route because they're already walking on the grass anyways and making their own path. So before you today is a request for additional funds and the award of this project to Beaumark. Is there any questions that I can answer?
No questions from council? Ask for a motion from Councillor Walsh that council authorize an amendment to the 2023 capital budget to increase the Hamptons landfill pathway upgrade project budget from 150 to 180,000, excluding GST and including 10% contingency, in order to complete the original scope plus the additional scope for the regional pathway connection.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll give you that motion.
Thank you. All in favor? Carried. Ask for a motion from Councillor Barton that council authorize the CAO to execute the contract with Beaumark.
You have a motion, Mayor?
Thank you. All in favor? Carried.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kaylee. Okay, regarding coal policy update, as we've been waiting for the election to finish up to know who we're dealing with and talking to, and knowing what each party's plan was directly for coal, then with the UCP back in power, coal is definitely still at risk in the eastern slopes of Alberta. So rewinding what council's work has been done in the past, I would like council's support in rewinding back May 2021 when we unanimously supported and proposed Town of High River's Alberta coal restriction policy, which basically states no further coal exploration or development will be permitted on the eastern slopes of Alberta, no longer be categories within this area, and instead there would only be one area defined today as the eastern slopes. Existing coal mining operations in the Hinton Grand Cache areas will be permitted to retire gracefully, and reclamation of lands disturbed by coal exploration activities with coal exploration permits issued prior to February 8th, 2021 must be reclaimed no later than December 31st, 2025. So I had earlier sent out the letter that we used back in 2021 that went out to all municipalities in 4 different provinces. And we took all the feedback from those and we took them to the coal policy committees, who was doing all the public consultation at that time. We presented it all to them, and they've made their recommendations to the Alberta government as well. But there's still a lot of gray area in that. And what needs to happen at the end of the day in this province and on our eastern slopes is that there's a dead stop, absolute no to any future coal mining being developed on the eastern slopes for numerous reasons. Number one being water security, number two being landscapes and the destruction of those landscapes that can never be reclaimed. So you've heard my spiel before. What I'd like to do is just get your okay to proceed on updating this letter so that it can then be sent to our new environment minister, being Minister Rebecca Schultz, and our new energy minister, being Minister Brian Jean, and our premier, Danielle Smith. And I'll work with Jody here this week to revamp this into today's language, but the three key principles would not change. And we would then submit this to the government of Alberta and request a meeting to both ministers and the premier to discuss this. Councillor Kinghorn.
Thank you, Mayor Snodgrass. To imitate Councillor Masterman a little bit, I liked the letter, although I thought it was a little soft, and I would have used some words like deeply concerned, those kinds of things to maybe put a little weight behind it, but I am in no way a wordsmith. But you have my support. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other concerns from council? I don't think we really need a motion today. I'll get this reworded and we'll bring it back, and then we will make a motion to approve and send to the ministers and request meeting. Fair enough? Thank you. Guy Wiedek Rodeo sponsorship. So we were asked to help sponsor the rodeo, and it came in between council meetings, so we did sponsor a shoot in the amount of $2,500 to support the Guy Wiedek Rodeo at the High River Ag Grounds this past weekend. As far as I know, I'll tell you one thing, it was really cool to open the rodeo and speak to it and to finally see the town of High River flag being rode around. So, and sitting on the front of the chute as well. So I'll ask for a motion from Councillor Smith, the council sponsor shoot in the amount of $2,500 for the Guy Wiedek Rodeo taking place at the High River Ag Grounds starting June 23rd, 24th.
Happy to give you that motion, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. All in favor? Carried. Like you had a choice. Councillor reports. Any councillor reports? Any board and committee reports? Councillor Smith.
Thank you, Mayor. I would just like to invite everyone to take a look at the Museum of the Highwoods website. They have embarked on a program to identify all of the markers on the McLeod Trail, which is a really neat project and a bit of a scavenger hunt for southern Alberta. So if anybody is interested, it's on the website, and the information shows you how to identify from Fort McLeod all the way to Calgary. So it's been a really great project undertaken by some members of the museum, and worth a look.
Thank you. No one else? Board and committee reports? None? Public comments from the Talifers? Let her rip. Give us what you got. Nothing? Cool. The which? A design flaw. It's kind of like putting all expenses with your company under office supplies. You can do anything. You can buy trucks and everything under that. Council's correspondence requiring action. So the 2nd Avenue construction project, there's a group, and what was there, 142 people that signed a quasi petition. You know, although the petition does not hold any legal value at all, nor does it meet the threshold of 10% of your community to be really presented, we would need about 1,500 signatures on there. But their question is absolutely valid. And so this is dealing with the Hamptons bypass and the people going north from the new roundabout going north. That road's a mess. There's no question. It's a road we took over from the MD of Foothills. That's an MD built road that's not designed to take the amount of traffic that thing gets now. But we understand that it's a mess. But just because we have another project going there doesn't mean we can connect everything for new roads. We just don't have the money to be able to budget to do all of that. And I get, yes, there would be savings and everything, but we have short construction seasons and we have to just take a chunk at a time to deal with this. That road is absolutely on our radar. We talk about it every year at budget, along with Jenny's Road. There's a list. We are fully aware of the condition of all of these roads, and yes, there's a list that we're picking them off one by one. The first one was last year, 2 years ago, in front of the High River Autoplex. We dealt with that one because that one was sitting vacant or sitting in unfinished for 20, 25 years. So we got that one off the books. We're going to deal with the Hamptons because it's directly within that development. And that road is brutal, and it's actually a requirement for the town to finish that road, so we're going to deal with that. And then we can start on a couple other roads. There's another one up in the northwest that's the same condition as the one in the newly annexed area too. So they are on a priority scale as to which one comes next. So regardless of the petition and its validity as a petition, I've got no problem at all in speaking to and recognizing that, yes, we are fully aware that that road's a mess. Councillor Walsh?
Thank you. Do we have equipment within our operations that we could at least increase the maintenance, like give it some attention? That would be my road that I drive every day too. Like nothing has been done, nothing.
Oh, I won't say nothing's been done, but the problem is that as soon as a grader goes over a road like that, smooths it, like it lasts about an hour and a half. Like the vehicles will just pound that stuff out in 2 seconds, right? So it's, unless you wanted to run a grader just about every morning,
So
it's bad. But
what's the timeline for this roadway to have some attention? Can we even?
that's up to you, Councillor, and the budget.
All right.
All you got to do is find a few $1 million and we're good to go, because that road and the road in the northwest, the problem with those roads, yes, it looks like all we got to do is kind of scrape off the old and repave over the new,
no.
but it's not that. It's a full
I
dynamite, the base, everything needs to come out and be fully rebuilt. That's the problem. And yes, we're into millions and millions of dollars to do these roads. They are not cheap, as you're seeing this Hamptons project.
Maybe we
So-
could sell it to the group of landowners out there.
Yep. But what do you got? You got about 2 or 3 months to figure out your budget number and bring her on back to council, and we're here to hear the cause.
I'll make a wish.
Jenny?
I'm wondering if I could go back to agenda number 8.
Yep.
But I just don't want to step on anybody who might have a question or comment on the road.
Nope, I think we're clear from the road. Back to board and committee reports.
So I just have a question, or I guess concern, about the town planning task force. It is on our priority list, and the actual task force that we meet regularly has slowed down the process in the fact that nobody comes to the meetings. So I'm wondering how we can speed up this process by possibly putting an end date or a finalizing of the actual town planning task force, and allowing the people who are putting the plan together to actually just go ahead and put it together and then continue from there. Because I feel the process is being held up quite considerably, and we're hitting the summer months, that if we can't meet on regular schedule, summer months are not gonna happen either. So I have a concern with this project just dragging on for maybe non-apparent reasons, or like unintentionally, but I think we need to find a way to have an end date to this project.
I couldn't agree with you more, and I'm glad you brought it up. Because it's for the task force's involvement of more bringing community voice to the task force and all that, the public consultations and all that kind of stuff. That work's all been done. What I see the task force doing now is that you've got, how many is there of us? 12? Something like that? You got 12 wordsmiths in there, all trying to write this document in their way now, right? And it's 100%. Couldn't agree with you more, Jenny, that it's holding up getting this thing done. We did talk about it at our council briefing before this morning, and I think what we should do is not disband the task force, but put the task force on pause. Their work is done. Their next task would be to review the final draft document before it gets made public. After it's fully written, done, but it's not going back and changing commas and a little word here. It's not going to be a full rewrite. It's just.
I agree. I would like the people that are interested in looking at that final document and making comments allowed to, for sure. But right now, it's just this continually pushing the benchmark, and I think it's a project that could be complete much quicker if we decide just to go ahead with it.
Well, and I sat not at the last one, before the last one. These meetings are difficult to make. But I sat and watched the frustration in Halid's. He's trying to finish this thing up and getting it written, and he's ready to pull Sarah. So, excellent. Thanks very much for saying that. So that's what we'll do with the task force. Put it on pause. Final task is to review the final draft.
Absolutely, we can make that happen, and you know, the original intent of the terms of reference was certainly to collaborate, bring everybody together, be part of that engagement, and not write the town plan. And that was clear in our initial meeting with them as well. So I think it's an appropriate approach to bring them back once the draft's all finished.
Sounds good. Thanks, Jenny. Very much. Council correspondence for information, more Rimrock Tidewater, Harvard District Health Care Foundation, correspondence from a resident regarding various concerns, and Community Futures Highwood quarterly update. Any questions? Meeting adjourned 4:14.